by George Orwell. What is the Russian Revolution and why did it happen? The Russian Revolution was a pair of revolutions that took place in Russia in 1917. Before the Russian Revolution took place, Russia's economy was in a tight spot. The Russian nation was ruled by a powerful monarch called Tsar. He owned much of Russia's land and controlled the church. During his reign, life was harsh. The peasants worked for little pay and often went days without food. The working class treated the peasants like slaves, giving them few rights and treating them like animals. Russia's economy was in a tight spot. The Russian nation was ruled by a powerful monarch called Tsar. He owned much of Russia's land and controlled the church. During his reign, life was harsh. The peasants worked for little pay and often went days without food. The working class treated the peasants like slaves, giving them few rights and treating them like animals. Starring Nicholas II is represented by Mr. Jones in Animal Farm. Mr. Jones was the farmer of Animal Farm. He was irresponsible to his animals and made them starve. In comparison, Tsar Nicholas II was an unfair and brutal leader. Karl Marx is represented by Old Major in the story. Old Major said humans are the real enemies. Karl Marx discussed in his book how capitalists are the real problem of the future.
Snowball was represented by Leon Trotsky. They were both exiled by secret policy in order to get rid of the only opposition in the area. However, Squealer was represented by Vyacheslav Molotov. They were both very supportive of their leaders and served as their leader's public speaker. Vyacheslav was to Stalin as Squealer was to Napoleon. The sheep were represented by the Russian propaganda. They were both people who blindly followed Stalin during his reign. Discuss Boxer. What role does he play on the farm? Why does Napoleon seem to be threatened by him? In what ways might one view the betrayal of Boxer as an alternative climax of the novel? If we consider Napoleon's banishment of Snowball and the pig's initial consolidation of power as the true climax. Boxer, the horse, is the farm workhouse. Everyone relied on him to do all the heavy work for the animals because he is large, strong, and exceptionally loyal to the cause. He serves as the force that holds Animal Farm together. His fault lies in his own childlike innocence and his gullibility. Despite his naivety, however, if Boxer were to report to other animals exactly how scheming and evil the pigs were, they know that they could easily be destroyed. I think Napoleon feels threatened by him because since everyone looks up to Boxer, he could easily form an alliance against him. Another reason why he might feel threatened is because Boxer could easily take over, because he is strong, and in the book, it tells you how Boxer fought off the dogs when Napoleon ordered them to attack him and kill him. I think the betrayal of Boxer could easily be the climax because he would have all the other animals on his side, and it would cause such a conflict that it would be one of the more important parts in the book. One might also view that the betrayal of Boxer is nearly equal in importance to the banishment of Snowball, politically speaking.
Next, we have Joseph Stalin, who is represented by Napoleon in the story, as both of them are equally cunning. Back in the days, Stalin was in university but never graduated as he worked on movements against the Russian monarchy. After all, in the late 1920s, he managed to be the leader of the Soviet Union, just like how Napoleon managed to be the leader of the farm after Old Major's death, which happens to be Lenin in real life. Unfortunately, none of the lives mattered to Stalin. Anyone who came in his way was immediately killed, therefore during his reign 20 million people have died. At that time, none of the peasants wanted to work for him, therefore they burned their crops and killed their animals, just like how the chickens refused to give their eggs to Napoleon. This greatly upset both of them in the story and in real life. When a famine has occurred during Joseph Stalin's time, he managed to keep it a secret in fear of criticism. And that's exactly what happened in the story, as Napoleon hid the fact that there was a shortage of food. In short, both of them were ruthless dictators. Moving on, we're going to speak about the people who were least affected to being not affected at all during the Russian Revolution, the upper class. In different societies, they're known as different things, such as the elite, the rich, the wealthy, and so on. Just like in the story, we had Molly, who was a horse who was extremely vain and did not care about the situation in the animal farm, and even sometimes betrayed them by going to the farmers and spending time with them instead. Next off, we have the exact opposite of the upper class, the working class. They were so into the Russian Revolution and managed to be strong through all times. Also, they managed to be loyal to Stalin, just as how Boxer managed to be loyal to Napoleon. After we got a brief introduction about the Russian Revolution and the character that represented in the story, we're going to proceed to the first question. Here we're going to compare Napoleon and Snowball. So, Snowball, who happens to be Trotsky, was the brisk, pure-hearted leader who wanted the good for the animals. He has both leadership and organization skills as he formed a variety of committees. Not to mention, he was quite passionate throughout the story. Then comes Napoleon, who was Joseph Stalin in real life. He had a way with everything as he was stubborn and determined to achieve what's on his mind. Napoleon was more interesting in obtaining personal power. He would provoke Snowball, then steal his ideas and claim it was his. He felt superior in all animals, therefore he was ruthless and was responsible for the death of many, including Snowball himself. After his death, he would use him as a scapegoat to all the flaws that have occurred during his time.